Howdy y'all, welcome back to then DBZ All-Star. I'm DBZ All-Star, or Steve if you prefer. I've been wanting to do this video for a long while. So this will be my first official overview. Yes, we've looked at books, but we haven't looked at books too in-depth outside of drawing comparisons and showcasing a little bit of what's inside for my Floating Island Productions videos. Mainly as a way to justify there being Floating Island Productions books and also to help push them forward as a Sonic the Hedgehog fan who loves those Archie comics. So I've been wanting to do official overviews for a while, and I wanted to start off with two separate tribute overviews to Omar of Near Mint Condition. So we're going to start off with one of his favorite books out there, dealing with the X-Men. This is Uncanny X-Men Omnibus Volume 1. This is a book that I picked up the reprint for in 2020, July 2020 to be specific, so during the global COVID-19 pandemic. And alongside it, I also purchased 2, 3, and 4 as they were available at that time. 5, of course, did not come later. As you can see, this has the larger font on the spine. You can see Marvel Omnibus, the Uncanny X-Men Volume 1. Clearly, without the smaller font that has been in place for 3 to 4 years now on any of the Silver Age and some of the Bronze Age Omnis out there. So this is the front cover. It's a reproduction of the Giant Size X-Men Issue 1 cover that introduced us to so many brilliant characters. Again, here's the side. And this is the cover that I went with because I prefer the original art compared to the reproductions by Alex Ross. No offense to Alex Ross, but it gives it kind of its own sense of character. And this is the back here. Retailed for $100. This is currently out of print, and for the record, not putting these overviews together to create any FOMO / fear of missing out. These first two are definitely saying thanks to Omar for everything he does for the community. What does this collect? Well, it collects Giant Size X-Men Issue 1, as printed on the cover. The X-Men, as it didn't become Uncanny X-Men as of yet, 94 through 31, and annual number 3. So this is an interesting collection of stories, as before Giant Size X-Men Issue 1, the X-Men comic book was effectively canceled. For a while, it was just being utilized to reprint previous stories that had been published through the Silver Age, the X-Men title. But thanks to people like Len Wein and Chris Claremont, we were able to see a revitalization of the line. And with Giant Size X-Men Issue 1, we not only brought in Wolverine, but Colossus, Banshee, Thunderbird, Nightcrawler. Storm is by far, in my mind, the most vital character brought in. At least, that's just my opinion. Of course, all opinions expressed in these overviews are just that, my opinion. So, as part of this overview, we'll be doing a deeper dive here. One of the things that held up these overviews was not having the proper tools / technology to do so. Step 1 was getting a tripod so I could be on camera, and so I didn't have to hold it by hand, juggling it back and forth while looking at the book. Check. Next, to do overhead shots properly, and again, I have the jangle. We needed some sort of tool to assist with that, and yeah, we've got that. So let's get to it. Let's do some overhead shots, show off some of the interiors of the book, and showcase why Omar is correct in saying that the X-Men line really was something special during this time. Alright, so even with that tool, it's not going to be perfect. I'm not striving for perfection here. Just want to show off as much of the interior of the book as I can to showcase why this is a well-beloved collected edition and kind of express why Marvel needs to get off their keister and make some of these books evergreen. I mean, it's got Giant Size X-Men issue 1, the introduction for so many stellar characters. Why wouldn't you want it to be in print and available to people? Seems like bad business to have it otherwise, but that's a different story. So here we go again. We have the cover to Giant Size X-Men issue 1, reproduced for the Uncanny X-Men Omnibus Volume 1. All new, all different. 40 years ago, the X-Men stood at the brink of cancellation, with few fans paying much attention to this forgotten title. The series may have faded into oblivion, if not for the release of a special edition that would change the course of comic book history. Giant Size X-Men issue 1. The issue introduced a team of diverse new mutants that represented a stark contrast to the familiar teenage X-Men lineup. These all new, all different X-Men were adults, hailing from countries across the globe. More than one new member bristled at the idea of working together as a team under Professor Xavier's tutelage. Readers flocked to the series as never before. Guided by a stellar lineup of creators including Chris Claremont, John Byrne, and Dave Cockrum, the X-Men quickly became one of Marvel's best-selling books. This deluxe volume collects the first 40 all-new, all-different adventures, all painstakingly restored from the Marvel Comics archives. Even the original letter columns are included, so modern readers can see how fans of yesterday originally reacted to these now classic storylines. Whether you experience the new X-Men's historic debut firsthand, or you're reading these issues for the first time, the Uncanny X-Men Omnibus is a must-have volume for any fan's bookshelf. And I agree with that. We have these black end sheets here. And I could probably show off the outside of the book. Just art on board there with the logo. Uncanny X-Men Omnibus. Side. Nothing too exciting. Does not have the faux leather that some of the early printings of these Omnis have. Title page, Uncanny X-Men Omnibus, Volume 1, collecting Giant Size X-Men number 1, the X-Men numbers 94 through 131, and annual number 3. Chris Claremont, Dave Cockrum, and John Byrne. Here we have the credits for this collected edition. We have pinup showcasing the original X-Men lineup versus the all-new, all-different. Your credits. You'll be sliding this back and forth. And your table of contents. So I will not read the foreword by Chris Claremont. But here we have Giant Size X-Men, issue 1, with the first page showcasing some of the characters we will be introduced to in this volume. Welcome to the X-Men, you all new, all different characters. Let's hope you survive the experience. Now I'm going to go through bit by bit, but I'm not going to showcase everything here because I want you to encourage Marvel to reprint some of these issues, but I will showcase some of the larger moments here. Introduce Nightcrawler right off the bat. We meet Wolverine in this title anyway, as he debuted in the last few pieces of The Incredible Hulk, issue 180, and made his full debut in 181. We're introduced to Storm after Professor Xavier reunites with Banshee. And right off the bat, you get to know some of these characters and see where some of their strengths and weaknesses lie. It's Colossus, Thunderbird. And let's move to the next segment. So this is the X-Men 95, and within it, one of our heroic beings ends up losing their lives. They remain dead for quite a while, over 40 years, but they've returned thanks to a little era called Krakoa. This is where Chris Claremont and Len Wein are co-plotting and writing together. Dave Cockrum is the artist here. And let's move forward. Here we have issue 98 featuring the return of the Sentinels. And by this point, Chris Claremont is the solo writer. This is a Christmas X-Men story. And you can really feel the love behind these inks and pencils. We have a letter page. We have the tease of X-Men versus X-Men to the death. We have the debut of Jean Grey as the Phoenix here. Return of the Juggernaut. Some beautiful, beautiful artwork of Storm. Firelord, who was once a Herald of Galactus. We have Magneto popping in and out, because you can't have a great X-Men epic without Magneto involved in some way, shape, or form. And by this point, John Byrne is the main artist on the title. And he presents us with some pretty fantastic and dynamic artwork. You have the Phoenix and Magneto going head-to-head in this issue. This is issue 113 that concludes this particular row with Magneto. Takes him off the board for a little while. The X-Men go through some pretty interesting hells. We have Sauron. I'm not going to dig too in depth here, but it's really cool seeing the X-Men go to different locales, from the Savage Land to space, and seeing the plot lines start to form for long-term stories. You see Chris Claremont kind of testing the water and eventually building into these long-time epics that run throughout his tenure on Uncanny X-Men. This is issue 120 featuring Alpha Flight looking for Wolverine, as Wolverine was part of Department H in good old Canada. And as we draw closer and closer to the end of this omnibus here, we encounter Arcade, team up with Spider-Man, and we inch ever closer to the always fantastic Dark Phoenix saga. But of course, first contending with Proteus, who is the surprise offspring of one of the X-Men. All throughout this, Jean is struggling with her cosmic abilities thanks to the Phoenix. We get the debut of Kitty Pryde, the Hellfire Club, Emma Frost. We get the debut of Dazzler. And something's not quite right with Jean all throughout. I love this cover. This is 131. This is the final issue collected. The real Dark Phoenix saga is in volume 2. You can see the letters pages really are collected all throughout. And got some extras here. This is cover to Giant Size X-Men issue 2, which is just kind of following along what the X-Men titles had been doing prior to Giant Size X-Men issue 1. This features a reprint of issues 57 through 59. Some original Dave Cockrum artwork and designs by Cockrum. Original Phoenix designs, original Colossus and Nightcrawler designs. Pinups. This really is a stellar collection. I've also got this material in Epic Collection. Aha. Classic X-Men. In 1986, Marvel launched Classic X-Men, reprinting the adventures of the all-new, all-different X-Men, starting with giant-size X-Men issue 1. Each issue featured a new cover reinterpreting the original cover war story, as well as a new backup story meant to further flesh out the characters and events occurring during the time period in the X-Men's lives. So we also need a reprint of Classic X-Men because those backup stories are fantastic, and they really do add something special to this time period for X-Men. And there's the cover and pencils for the painting by John Watson. Your end sheets. And again, this typically retails for $100 when it is in print, so encourage Marvel. Not just for the reprint poll, but because they're being stubborn. Use your social media powers, my friends. Let's get back to facing me. And welcome back. I definitely don't dig as deeply as Omar does in some of his overviews because I don't want to repeat what Omar has already done. I want to give my own perspective because every comic may be someone's first. Every comic may be someone's favorite. To delve a little bit deeper into that, that means everyone may have different feelings about the material they're reading. I still think this was a worthy addition to my collection. I had been kind of out of collecting oversized collected editions like this for a while, just kind of casually collecting from time to time, but during the pandemic, thanks to the Uncanny Omar, I really picked that hobby back up. As I said, I purchased volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4 all at once because they were available. Marvel, please make this volume available, and don't say you don't have the storage space. Please make this evergreen as well. If your distinguished competition can do it, you certainly can. You do have a corporate entity holding the wallet for you, so it would only be logical that if fans are demanding it, yeah, it's going to sell. You've been seeing things sell all along, and something like this, which really works as a starting point and is such a historical gem, needs to be available for people. I really appreciate all y'all watching. Omar, thank you for inspiring me to go full force back into the collected edition area of comics. For better or for worse, my wallet is eternally traumatized, but I thank you, and thank you for always being a stellar person and professional, for bringing so much joy and light into the world. I hope you and your family have a wonderful holiday, and I hope everyone in this community has a wonderful holiday, that you feel valued, appreciated, and supported, that you don't feel any FOMO from this, because at some point it has to be available again. It just has to. It's been reprinted so many times. We've been waiting for years. Marvel just needs to open up their hearts and their brains a little bit to get this material available again. So this is my first official overview. I'm going to do 2 overviews to start off with, to show appreciation to the Uncanny Omar, and from there, sky's the limit, possibly. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications of future content. If you like this content and would like to see other areas, I'm also on other social media platforms such as Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram as Animaniac1 or #1 Animaniac. I'm on TikTok as DBZALLSTAR and Animaniac1 for ease of access. I also have a mature content channel, which will have more content sooner rather than later, called DBZALLSTAR After Dark. Finally, I'm the affirmation administrator for the Omnibus Cafe on Facebook. We are a community built through communication and collaboration without condemnation. If you are a fan of single-issue comics, manga, collected editions, things of a geeky nature, please consider joining us. Above all else, thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely holiday. Stay healthy, stay safe, be uncanny, and be well.